I'll call the meeting to order at 6:30. Before we do roll call, I'd like to ask everyone who's here, if they have not signed in, please sign in before you leave at the front desk there. Be helpful. Okay, roll call. Eugene Thurston here, John Kelly, Rebecca Hanson, Bill Bolton, Brian Dutel, Chris Buckley, the planner, Sharon Penny. We have two site plan reviews to do tonight. And just to remind everyone quickly the procedure, we will first look at the application, determine if it is complete or not. If we do determine it's complete, we will ask the applicant to, at that time, to make a short presentation of what they're doing. The board will ask questions. And after that, we'll open a public hearing. And after the public hearing is over, the board will vote whether to approve the application or not. So the first one we have is a one-lot subdivision on PID 207001 on the Fairgrounds Road. The board can take a look at the planner report. And if the board can take a look at the waiver requests, which are towards the back of the packet, just to see if you have any questions about the waiver requests. Board have any questions or comments about the completeness of the application?
I guess I do just about the wetlands. I looked through the minutes from the planning board meeting in 2012, and it referenced needing more wetland delineation. I guess I'm just trying to get the full story because I don't feel like I got that from the minutes. I don't know if anyone knows more.
Well, the applicant's agent can speak to that, Mr. Hahn, the surveyor, but I don't think there was much of any delineation there, and we were just looking at the frontage piece, the proposed frontage piece for a point of access, and that has been fairly well delineated on the new plan.
It's Paul Wilson.
Yeah. Any other comments from the board, questions from the board on the application itself? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the application as complete?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay. Mr. Hahn here, can you give us a quick rundown?
Mr. Chairman, did you want to vote on the waivers now or wait till later in the request for the 3 waivers?
We can do that after this presentation.
Sure. Should clip. Insert. Get you some tape. Got it?
Figure it out.
Oops.
Maybe not. Interested, I also have topple the entire property. Tom Hahn with Forco. We did the surveying on this project. And just to give you a quick rundown, it's tax map 207-1. I think it was mentioned we had a conceptual consultation with the board in October of 2012. The plan that we're presenting is basically the same thing as we had presented at that conceptual meeting. The parent lot contains 249 acres. It's located on Fairgrounds Road, right where the old railroad grade and the public service power line crosses Fairgrounds Road. It's in the agricultural zone. There was a perimeter survey done on the entire property in 1981, and a small lot was subdivided off of that parcel in 1988. Both of those survey plans were done by John French, and we submitted a copy of that plan with the application, and I have a large print of it here as well if anyone's interested in seeing it. The proposal is to subdivide a 50-acre lot from the parent parcel. This project is an implementation of a settlement agreement between the owners that's been approved by the Grafton County Probate Court. The settlement agreement included a specific subdivision line and a corridor for a new driveway leading to the rear 199 acres. The new lot being created, the 50-acre lot, would have road frontage in two places on Fairgrounds Road on either side of existing lot 207-2. So frontage here, frontage here for the 50-acre parcel. Each one of them have existing driveways with approved DOT driveway permits. And the back lot of 199 acres would have 210 feet of frontage on Fairgrounds Road. And it has a proposed new driveway that also has an approved NHDOT driveway permit. And copies of those driveway permits were submitted with the application. Driveway number 3, the new one that's being proposed to serve the 199 acres, passes under the public service power line and is requiring an agreement and consent to joint use between the owners and public service. That agreement, we're just waiting for one more signature from one of the trustees on that, and that's ready to submit to public service for their signature and recording. We also, part of the project here had to do with ascertaining the ownership of the abandoned railroad grade. And so that process has been worked through. A deed was recorded whereby the state released any rights they had to the railroad grade. That's been recorded, but there were some errors in that deed, and a corrective deed is in the works.
The state, the Attorney General's office has approved that. We're just waiting for that to be signed and recorded as well. So there'll be a the plan includes the deed reference for the deed that has already been recorded. And when a corrective deed comes through and gets recorded, then we'll put that on the final plan as well. Would you like me to speak to the waiver requests? Or are they pretty straightforward?
I think they're straightforward, but the board may have questions.
Anybody have any questions on the waiver request?
And so that's all I had.
We're good to go there. I have a quick question. The roads that are shown on the topo, are those existing or proposed? The roads to the back lot?
Pardon me?
So the roads that are shown on the topo sheet to the back lot, are those existing or proposed?
There is one existing.
So, for example,
So this one is existing. And this is proposed.
and that's proposed.
Yes.
Okay.
So these are existing. This is proposed.
And this one here?
And that is existing.
Are those gravel surface roads or woods roads or whatever?
This one is a woods road that's been in regular use. It's also snowmobile trail. This one is built up, it was constructed, and it has a gravel surface at the beginning. It has not been used for a number of years, and it's grown up to some saplings and other vegetation, so it's not real noticeable when you drive by it, but there is a constructed bed there.
Sharon, did you have any comments on this application?
No, the documentation was very well presented, and as Tom said, there are 3 DOT driveway permits in place. Fairgrounds Road DOT District 2 has jurisdiction. And these are, 4 years old or something, so everything's really quite kosher. No, it is what it is.
Okay, so does the board have any questions of the applicant at this time? Go.
So regarding that driveway, the proposed driveway, and you get a permit to put the driveway in, but as it goes back, I mean, the driveway permit only looks at probably at the curb cut, like right there.
Which one, Bill? There's 3.
The proposed one,
Number 3? The far left?
number 3. So it goes over like wetlands, and then it goes over wetlands again, and is that going to be an issue?
It will require, depending upon its use, the use anticipated at the moment is forestry primarily, so a woods road could be constructed. And I put a note on the plan.
I gave you large-size copies for those of us over 21 for those notes. The specifics are in there, so it's that document.
Okay.
So for forestry or agricultural use, it would need a forestry or agricultural type of permit. If it was to be used for residential use, then it would need a full dredge and fill, a standard wetlands permit, which is much more involved than either the forestry or the agriculture.
Would that, would that come before the planning board again, if that was the case?
Not,
If the use of that road was gonna change,
The
driveway?
forestry or agricultural permits, they're permit by notification, so they're approved directly by DES. A copy comes to the town after it's approved by DES. A full standard dredge and fill permit would get filed with the town clerk, so the town would get notification right off. And then, is it the Conservation Commission that has opportunity to
Yes.
comment on those?
Okay. Any other questions at this time from the board? All right, we're going to open the public hearing on this matter. It's 16 minutes before 7. And if anyone here would like to speak in favor of this application, please do so, and please state your name and where you live.
I'll speak in favor of the application. My name is Bill Priebus. I'm an attorney with Cleveland Waters and Bastow in Concord, and I represent Dennis Gerard and Florence Leduc. They are two of the co-owners of this property. And this has been a process that's been very long in the making, and everyone has worked really hard to get where we're at. But I wasn't planning to speak, but the question about the driveway came up, and I just wanted to note for the board that the settlement agreement that this was kind of born out of, which was actually executed many, many years ago, has language in there that says that the access over that driveway shall be in the form of a quote, woods road, end quote. So I don't know what, future plans or how that bears on any future plans, but it seems as though, that's going to be the type of thing that it's used for.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jack McCormick. I'm on board for the other two applicants, the Batchelder Trust and the Kelseys. And the Woods Road is not a legal term, so it's a driveway under our ordinance. And Bill's right, what's being sought now is a driveway, which is not to say at some point in the future, something else may occur, come back before the board, or seek to improve the roadway. But right now, it is a driveway being sought.
Anyone else like to speak in favor of the application?
Actually, if I might, I have some backstory. I want to supplement what Tom said and the application by giving a little more history of the property. A number of years ago, three people, the Batchelders, Kelseys, and Gerards, bought the property primarily for conservation purposes. The idea was to keep it out of the hands of a chipping company or to avoid having a clear cut, that kind of thing. It was a tree farm. I think it still is, Tom, isn't it? A tree farm? It's a tree farm, and there's been occasional cutting every few years, and it's worked out well. The access has been historically over the existing roadway, which is shown on the plan as being right next to the Gerard lot. Now, the problem was a few years ago, Mr. Gerard wanted out, and the parties tried to negotiate, wound up in court, long story, and there's an action called partition in New Hampshire whereby people can have the court divide the property for them. So we got to that, and at a settlement conference one day across the street, a lengthy conference trying to resolve it amicably, there was a sketch put down on a piece of paper. The lights were going out literally. That sketch has morphed into that. And what happened was after the settlement conference, the Batchelders and Kelseys actually overlay the sketch onto a real plan, and to their shock, realized that the access was very close to David Cody, and we're going through wetlands, and that wasn't the idea. So basically, the probate court did say, you guys signed, you have to give it to the planning board, which is why we're here ultimately. We're here before you because you have the right to decide on the application, not the probate court. It's not their purview. Your job is to pass on any application, despite the fact this took an odd course to get here. You should treat this application as any application. This one is different because basically, normally you'd have a land planner or surveyor would sit down, analyze the property, they'd figure out the best place for access, minimize wetlands impact, all that. And I dare say Tom would probably say that's not the way he would have done it. But we're a bunch of lawyers and bozos. What do we know? We had a pencil and a piece of paper. It seemed right at the time. And the problem is that we are required to present the plan, and certainly we're glad to do that after all these years, but you're not required to approve it. In other words, you should be looking at this plan as any other plan. You should be considering, is the driveway appropriate? Are the wetlands worth saving? Are there other issues which militate in favor of the plan or against it? In other words, you should be doing your job. You have several choices. You can approve, you can disapprove, you can give it to the Conservation Commission, or you can take a view. But I want to emphasize the fact that it's your job to do the right thing, to apply the ordinance in the letter and the spirit and come out with the right decision.
Thank you. Yes, John.
Where is the Chase-On Road in reference to this?
About a quarter mile to the west.
It's in back of Cody's?
Yeah.
Place, so it's beyond this property.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, would anyone else like to speak in favor of the application? Would anyone like to speak opposed or neutrally about the application?
Good evening. My name's Joe Driscoll. I'm an attorney down at Martin Lord Osmond, Laconia. I represent David Cody. He's in a butter. His property is located here. For reference for the board. Now, just as an aside, I do greatly enjoy coming to these things. This is one of the true governmental functions that people serve that it truly impacts the people in the community. And we're here to talk about an impact that's going to occur to my client, but also to the wetlands, which has been brought up numerous times, frankly, to our surprise, and something that we're really excited that everybody's already keyed in on. Dr. Cody's been a resident of Plymouth for 50 plus years. He's had his business here. He's a very community-minded guy, and he wants what's best for this community. And looking at this proposal, we don't see that, and I'm speaking and will be speaking frankly solely about this proposed access road. Okay, it runs, and yes, it's very clear, it runs right up against his property line. That's a fact. All access now to this would be running right up by him. But more importantly, his focus is actually regarding the wetlands that exist. And what I do want to point out, and I understand it's a subdivision, but all the parties have decided how to subdivide this. So there is already access, and there is already access to that back lot. And there could be an agreement to continue to simply use that, an easement across the subdivided lot, in order to continue to achieve that access. So we would frankly say that what's being asked is very much an elective thing. There is no necessity here to require this, especially because everybody put their heads together and figured something out on this property. And I echo what Attorney McCormick was saying to everyone. This is in your purview. I don't want anybody thinking that, okay, wetlands, it's a DAS thing. Okay, this is approved by a court. That's them over there. No, this is coming to you for your true approval. And you have an obligation to be looking at these very things. And again, I was very excited to hear that everybody already is. The wetlands concern is something that's it's permeated like every document that governs this board. Your authority and purpose within the zoning ordinance says that the zoning regulations in districts are in accordance with the Plymouth Master Plan and are designed to preserve Plymouth's small town atmosphere and attractive natural setting, to guide development and growth while protecting areas such as wetlands, natural habitats, agricultural lands, et cetera, et cetera. And my client will be coming up actually to give a variety of examples of what actually is in there, what you would find if, say, you took a view, the different wildlife and habitat that would be drastically affected by this. But I go even further. You look into the subdivision guidelines, and I was intrigued to find this. Any subdivision shall conform to the master plan to the maximum extent possible. And in this town's master plan, it specifically states that it is to promote private and public protection of wetlands, aquifers, private municipal water supply, and wells. And I come back to what I said in the beginning. This is elective. These parties could have chosen to simply say, we got a road, it already serves the purpose, we'll keep the road, we'll do an easement, we'll take care of it, and we'll be all set. Instead, what's been chosen to do is a separate entrance point. And looking at this map, it's incredibly clear that that separate entrance point is on the only area that has wetlands on this property. Why does that need to happen? This concern affects this community, it affects the people within it, truly affects my client, especially in light of his occupation. And we really are, coming to this board to say that, frankly, we think that especially in regards to that piece, this should be shot down. There should be a better plan. There should be a better way of doing this. And it has been set in stone for you folks to follow, and your judgment to evaluate these concerns. And I would say it's very detrimental if you were to just simply sit here and vote on this plan tonight and say, oh, we're going to approve this without having at least set foot out there. I assure you that you're not going to like what you see. This is something that needs to be protected. This is an area that needs to be protected. Actually, Mike gave a fantastic example to me earlier when we were talking about it. People think that their vote doesn't matter in an election. But when 1 million people think that, it really changes a lot of stuff. This one area, people may not think this little wetland can affect things. But if this keeps happening, if this keeps happening locally in this community, it will affect things drastically. So we would simply ask, please consider this. Reject the plan as is here with this proposed road. It's going to cut through this. No one's even sure if it can accomplish the feat in the future. If there would be future development, it creates more question marks than it creates answers for this board. So I thank you for your time, and I would also like to have my client come up and talk. As I said, he has experience with the area, he's familiar with it, and all the habitat that occurs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Dave Cody. I'm the abutter that everybody's talking about, and I welcome any questions. I'm not a very good speaker, so. But what I can tell you is that this proposed road is a horrible idea. I've lived in Plymouth my entire life, and I've hunted and fished on this entire piece of property forever, and I know every square inch of that piece of woods that we're talking about. I don't know when it was delineated, but we've had some dry years, and in the very middle of that, you can see, can I show you a couple, can you just pass around something you can
Sure.
see real quick?
Yeah.
In the very middle, this is this entire rectangle here is the piece that we're talking about, and Fairgrounds Road is right here. And if you look in the middle of this, it's just a Google Earth picture I just got today. And if you look in the very middle, it looks like there's a field there. Well, that field is a pond. In almost any time of the year, it's well over my knees in water. There's cattails in there. There's ducks that fly in there every single night in the spring and halfway through the summer. On my property is a pond, and I've had families of geese go from my pond over to there. I'm not sure what they do exactly, but go over there. There are lady slippers through that entire parcel of property. I've heard mention of this piece of wetland as being a minor piece of wetland. Well, minor is pretty relative, and just one other note is that about 10 or 11 years ago, I was driving down Fairgrounds Road, and between my house and my barn, out in the field adjacent to the property we're talking about, I saw something out there. I didn't know what it was, so I backed my truck up, and I also I make hay in the field adjacent to where we're talking about. And I went out there because there was something in my pasture, in my field, and that was taller than the grass. And so I went out, and lo and behold, this is what was coming out of that forest. And walking from the wetland that we're talking about into my pond. And it was just a snapshot in time, and I don't know where he is now, but it's a pretty amazing that something that big is in that little piece of wetland. I know that piece of land and that entire piece of land in question is also it's both in the floodplain, and it's on FEMA's wetland map, the entire piece. Whether that's any concern or not, I'm not sure, but it is. Above and beyond that, there's an existing road less than not even a hard stone's throw away to the east that satisfies everybody's needs. And it's there, it exists. Going that circuitous route with a log truck, 10 years from now, when the back lot needs to have access for logging, it's going to make the biggest mess you ever saw in your life, and it's going to ruin that wetland. So this is your decision. I mean, nobody wants a road on their adjacent to their property line. But that's beside the point. What's most important is that wetland conservation, and this is what you're here for. This is your job, to take care of those issues and make this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak this time? Yes.
Hi, I'm Neil MacGyver. I'm familiar with this proposed 50-acre parcel of land. I was originally retained by Dennis Gerard to delineate the wetlands on this property, and I also delineated the wetlands on David Cody's property. And I didn't come in here to try to sway you one way or the other, but I can see potential problems in obtaining wetlands permits as this road is laid out. And I would suggest that you have the Conservation Commission review this application.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments about this proposal? Yes, please.
I'm Katharina Kelsey, and one of the owners of this plan. And I just want to reiterate what Jack already told you, that there was a piece of paper this big and a pencil line was drawn in the dark. And when they overlaid it, came back later and looked, we were all horrified. So we don't want it to go through the wetlands either. And also feel that there's already an access road there. The other party has denied us any use of that. And so you don't need to get into that for sure. I don't need to go there. That's the whole probate thing. But I do just want to say that we also don't feel at all that it's a good idea to go through that wetland.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing at 2 minutes after 7 and come back to the board for more questions. And I have a question to start off with, Mr. Hahn. Maybe you can help us with some of the background here. Do we meet frontage requirements if you don't have that little bit of land on the left? If this piece over here, if that goes away, do you still meet the frontage requirements for the subdivision?
Yep, okay.
In other words, if you drew this line somewhere else, so that this...
Right. And so, yeah, there's several options, at least possible options there. And I think someone had alluded to the fact that, there's the possibility of an easement over the existing road. There could be the possibility, the parties would need to go back and agree on something different, but there's the possibility of moving the subdivision line as well.
So if that subdivision line got moved to the corner of this existing lot, would this 50 acres meet the frontage requirements? That's my question.
Okay. Let's see, what is your...
Yeah, the 50 acre piece, Steve, has 2 points of frontage. So that's cool. It's the parent lot that needs some frontage, but there's two different issues here. There's frontage and then there's access. So you don't necessarily, as you know, need your access from your frontage if you have your, we're talking about parameters of legal conforming lots. You can get your access off a essentially shared driveway or easement or right-of-way.
I guess that's not really my question. Maybe I'm not explaining this correctly.
I mean, there is frontage here.
Right, is that sufficient?
And
303.
Oh, yeah, it's 150 or 100.
That's 303.
That must be the
303, so that would be sufficient. All right, that's my question.
Road to the lake.
So you were indicating that you would move this line over to here.
Then they could use the existing road.
Yeah.
So is there any rationale for doing it this way, or was it just how it worked out?
Again, this is an implementation of the settlement agreement that was reached in the court case. So, the probate court approved the settlement agreement, and so, the parties were obligated to bring that forward.
Right, so in order to make any changes to this plan, it would have to go back to the probate court, is that correct?
At least while the attorneys can...
Not necessarily. The two ways, we can either agree ourselves, or we can't go back to the court.
I agree with that.
There'd be some fine tuning that would have to be done with the parties on the board's directive.
Okay. Any comments from the board about the application, questions?
Has the Conservation Commission looked at that wetland before my time? Does anyone know?
Probably not even back in 2012.
I wouldn't think so.
Is there a wetlands report, Tom, or just a delineation?
Just the delineation.
There was no cursory report or anything?
No.
No, because I didn't receive anything, so.
I'd like to ask the doctor one question. Isn't that whole, I would assume the western part of the lot, basically wetlands or swamp? Goes all the way up to Chason Road?
No, not out to Chason Road, because there's several fields there, agricultural fields.
But isn't that wetland? Because I know I've mowed that and stuff like that, and it's been wet until later on in the season.
There's certainly some wet ground there.
Dr. Cody. Yes.
So as the Chason Road thing goes, there's a brook that comes down adjacent to Chason Road, all the way to the end, and that's all wetland.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no denying that at all. It's on the maps.
That goes all the way up, that wetland, I think, goes all the way up,
Goes all the way
up Chason Road.
East Romney Road.
Between that and the Fairground Road. Yeah. There was a real question about that, so.
Close the hearing.
So, what do we do about this application, you guys?
You can do a couple of things. You can, just listing it, you can continue it to a date certain so that the Conservation Commission can weigh in. You can also ask for perhaps a little bit of a synopsis or a narrative from the wetland scientist that has delineated it. And you can also, as I understand it from Attorney McCormick, who represents one of the parties, see if there's some middle ground on possibly Xing out that proposed access point 3, which does have a DOT permit, but it hasn't been realized yet, and seeing if you can get a right-of-way easement, AKA shared access, whatever. I mean, maybe that's it. I don't know how you want to see that chronologically, but that's my take on it.
To include throwing it back to the attorneys and letting them work it out, but not necessarily, as far as like an easement for the existing driveway, but to just change the lot lines.
Or that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that's 4 pieces.
Steve came up with a solution. Boom. Easy for us to say, but
If I'm correct, Couldn't that road be skirting the base of that mountain, hill, or whatever you want to call it? So that, and move it to the right on this map?
Where?
Yeah, you mean going up the
Look at
line,
this one here, this one's got the actual date.
going up the line,
Proposed and
taking it right at the end?
I didn't get that one.
Yeah, but you go right through the wetland.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so you go through A wetlands, and they also
Yeah,
have
both of those.
elevations to deal
Yeah.
with.
But if you could come up through here, you wouldn't be running into.
Yeah, but this is the subdivided lot, this one right here.
So
Yeah.
move this line over to here.
So this is the subdivision. And this is trying to access the parent lot.
But again, it's easy
That's
for
what
us to
they
say.
want, the access
Yeah.
to the parent lot.
So I think, I like the idea of seeing if we can adjust that line, knowing that it's probably dragging on a process that's likely been very long at this point, but if we can avoid impact to this wetland, I think that would be really important. Looking at some of the slopes around the wetland and the wet areas. And I think before we throw it to the Conservation Commission, I think if we can reach agreement between the parties on that, that would be my preference.
I need to make the point, though, I mean, we're looking at, from what I see in the notes on the survey plan, you're looking at two possible options for this proposed driveway, and they're directly related to particular uses. The first one would be, just for a point of edification, if you see that sheet I held up that has the notes on it, if there were to be residential development in the area of the new driveway, then the driveway obviously would only have to be to that point, but does the property owner, whomever that is at this point, you know, what's their consideration for the rest of the acreage? I mean, you know, it's the use. What is the proposed driveway intended for in its use? I mean, is it something, and I have to be devil's advocate here, you know, just to, whatever, 50, whatever the scale is, so. Well, that's a reduction, but I think it's a 100-foot scale. So, you know, we're just talking about a short little leg off Fairgrounds Road. Under the auspices of this subdivision review, or is the intent to have it eventually go all the way up? I think that's a question that needs to be tried to be figured in a little bit.
Okay.
Because is it this, or is it going to be something else? And in the future, if it's something else, then it may need another review, depending on what the new use or additional uses are. You know, there's some variables here that you might want to consider.
And I almost, if I heard Tom correctly, I heard just the opposite,
No,
like
it's
that
That's a contract.
initial plan is to have it extend all the way up for logging. And that part down by Fairgrounds Road made later on.
Yeah, well, it's, what's the chronology? I mean, I'm just trying to help you get some more facts to help in your deliberation here, because it's a huge difference. Not that I'm advocating for driveways through wetlands, but it's what's the use going to be?
Do we have a diagram, or whatever you want to call it, of an exploded one on just what we're talking about? You know, we've got maps all the way down beyond the clouds.
You want this, John?
I don't, I gotta have it as a map, and I have no idea what.
First one, John.
How come we don't have all of these in the first place?
Yep.
I just, most of these maps have absolutely nothing to do with this lot.
If there's an easement.
That's the other
I
application.
think that's one thing, but I'm thinking, Steve proposed that one, move that dot to
Which
there.
has your locus map right here.
And where's the road on this thing?
Down at the bottom.
We go to a different place.
What do you think, Chris?
Well, as a board, if we were to opt for trying to move the boundary line of the road to totally mitigate this issue, what is the implication of that? Like, what's,
Well, it's a lot more work for the parties involved, for sure. And I don't know,
Do you want to get a sense
So
of?
this
you guys
is the old road out here?
talk about it, but-
Can I speak on behalf of one of the applicants to that question? I know the public session is closed, but.
Sure, no, go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate that very much. I think what happens is if it gets kicked back to Jack and I and our respective clients, and we have to see if we can reach agreement. And if we can't reach agreement, then we're back where we were at in this petition to partition process that was just described. And that litigation will run its course. And that can result in any number of things, including an order that all the parties have to simply sell this entire parcel. And you know, that's kind of the devil that we don't know at this juncture. So, you know, there's some unknowns there, but I think technically it comes back to Jack and I, and if we can't agree, we go back to the probate court, and the probate court decides how we're gonna cut this up. and we're gonna sell it.
Bill's right in that respect, but I'm Jack McCormick, I'm sorry, if I can speak also. Bill's right, the process means if we can't do it here, if we can't come to terms on the proper access, it goes back to court. Not your problem, but that's what would happen. And frankly, I still think that we should do the right thing. It's not David's problem, what we agreed to, and Bill and I, if we can possibly work something out, we will, I think. If not, it's back to court, it's as simple as that. It's not your problem.
Sharon?
Attorneys, are you speaking to the fact you want to speak with your clients separately this evening? I'm just talking about procedure, I'm missing.
Well, a lot of our clients aren't here. I don't think Bill's clients here, my people aren't, and frankly,
Okay.
the problem we have is to sit down and do this right this time. We need some plans, maybe have Tom there, to do it the right way, and talk about the proper way of doing this. And frankly, if you have in mind to ask us to gerrymander boundaries or rights of way, it would greatly help us to have somebody show us on a plan what you're talking about, because you're talking up there, and we can't really see, and it's probably a good idea. So if you'd like to simply mark up a plan for us, conceptually, we can at least start with that point.
We could do that. And what I want to do is kind of go around the board, get everybody's opinion here, and then we can see if we can move forward in some way. What do you think, Brian? What are we going to do?
I like that idea of moving one of the proper boundary line to the, what would it be, to the north?
Can we just for this, I'm sorry, for the sake of argument, this is the new subdivision, this is the new lot, this is the remainder lot. So if we can just in our conversation refer to one or the other so none of us are confused.
Right there.
Here. Move this here. Here, and just move it this way, right?
Yeah, and then it incorporates this, the second approved.
Do you want a marker?
Or whatever we wrote.
I'll get you some markers.
So I have a question to the parties about the acreage involved, the 50 acres. Is it just 50 acres, or is it 50 acres plus some certain amount of road frontage? What was the concept there?
It was what was actually sketched out and drawn.
The sketch turned out to be 50 acres.
So that's not a criteria, that's not a threshold.
It
Okay.
turned out to be about 50 acres.
Okay, so it's not a magic number then, it's an arbitrary number. Okay.
Look at that.
Rebecca, what do you think? Well, Bill, actually, you're next.
Well, yeah, so I think if we can't have the attorneys agree on moving the lot line to incorporate that second approved driveway so that you can have back access to the back, whatever, 90 or whatever, 190,
199.
Yeah, 199.
By second driveway, do you mean the existing driveway?
The existing driveway, number two.
Number two.
You know, if that, I mean, it seems like, actually, Brian Dutel just dropped a line to include the driveway and the lot on the piece on the left. If all parties could agree to that, that would probably, the assumption is, I mean, that driveway itself crosses a wetland too.
But it's
Was that put in?
Existing, yeah.
Yeah, that was put in long before.
True.
Environmental.
Yep.
So they'd have to get a right-of-way access easement.
Nope.
Oh, if you move the line all the way back?
Lot line
No.
adjustment or whatever they, need to do to move the line, and that, so that, driveway 2 is sitting off to the left to allow access to the back.
The issue with driveway 2 is it is within 50 feet of the house. Less than that. How close is that to the Gerard house?
I don't know if it's 50 feet.
No, it looks like it's,
But that's existing though, Frank, right? Or-
It's existing, but I think that's what they were trying to get away from.
Oh, I see.
Rebecca, Mark, Bill?
Just to continue on that too, though, but, so the driveway comes down 50 feet away from the house. Well, if you move that driveway, 30 feet to the left, you'd be avoiding that wetlands, and you'll be, straight shot to the back,
Gives you the whole thing.
Just a quick question, is there driveways to property lines?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah. I think it's a
think it's
minimum of 15
15
feet.
feet,
Yeah, we
You
just.
can't be right up against it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the map, it's as close
I
to.
mean, there is some topo, but I don't think the topo is very minimal, so you're not going to run into roller coasters.
Is this setback, is that on the Fairgrounds Road, or is that on any range road?
It's from the proper, it's from a dividing property line. You can't have a driveway right up against a property line, because it impacts the neighbor, or it has the potential to do it.
Just a question on that. Is that for new driveways? Just this particular driveway number 2 has been in existence for, who knows, a couple hundred years.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's where there's a little lack of information, at least at the outset there was. So this, it says existing, but to what extent? Because all I could glean from the permits was that the permits had been in place for 4 years, so it was a driveway, or whatever it used to be. When was that actually constructed?
Right along.
I mean, ballpark, 2.
It's been there.
For like
I'm
20
almost
years
60
or-
No,
yeah.
I'm almost 60 years old and I grew up there and it was there then.
Okay. Yeah, so that encroachment is pre-existing.
What if we just moved, if the, just the beginning part of that driveway that was near the house, just the first however many feet, and then reattach to the existing road, would that be acceptable to?
We're talking about incrementally, making things a little more difficult for each one, but that would be a solution that would, probably satisfy most people.
In addition to moving the proposed boundary line?
Moving the boundary line, moving the terminus of the driveway on Fairgrounds to the left, maybe 30 feet, something like that, just to, you can get around that wetlands and make a straighter shot to the back 199. Want me to show you up on that one, or?
I mean, I think we're all thinking about this, but I think it is important to think about this parent parcel and not necessarily what the current owners do with it now, but what might be happening in the future as well. So it might just be forestry equipment every 5 to 10 years, but if it gets sold and there's subdivisions up there and all of a sudden you've got a driveway, and maybe I'll put in a plug for a conservation easement on such a large parcel while the owners are here, but I think we just don't know what's going to happen in the future. So trying to, obviously, it makes sense to protect that property owner from a new
Right,
road.
and any additional change in use would obviously need planning board review, so.
So I guess I would like, if all parties involved would be amenable to just redrawing that line without having to change the driveway. So that would be the easiest solution, and then.
I think we really I need to see it as the planner. I can't see what you guys are doing over there either. So perhaps someone needs to go up there.
This one's marked up.
You're talking about coming off of this point here.
So, right now,
Proposed boundary is there.
okay, we're saying we would do here.
So draw it with your fingers.
Well,
Or-
why don't you take a look at this one, Sharon? That includes both the lot.
So it comes off pretty much at an angle.
Okay, so you move it to this back corner,
So you just go here.
or wherever they want.
That's what they, sorry, Tom, but.
The point being,
This is the existing? Okay.
Sharon, do the driveway too.
I beg your pardon?
to the driveway as well.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can figure over
Yeah.
maybe
Pull this down on here.
existing over.
Over there. Okay, okay.
Undisturbed.
Okay, so, John Kelly and Eugene, what do you guys think?
This is not wetlands, those were here.
They'll do it.
And can I ask one question to anybody who might be able to answer it out here? Is the objection of the property owner who doesn't want
Existing.
to allow access to driveway number 2, is the objection just that it's so close, which would be my objection, and it's Dr. Cody's objection, and, the other property, but if it's so close to the house, or is there another reason that he doesn't want that access used?
Bill? Could you repeat that question, please?
So, so the property owner that doesn't want to allow access to driveway number 2, is it simply an objection to how close that is to his house?
That's part of the concern, for sure.
Because if that's all it is, it seems like the easiest solution might be, instead of adjusting property boundaries, just to change the beginning of the road, so it totally, but that doesn't sound like it's, so in other words, instead of coming in close to his house, come in closer to the property boundary, cut over before the compromised wetlands.
More west.
Yeah, start from the west, rejoin the existing driveway at the corner of the property. It's the least impact on
Yeah, if they could come up
any of the wetlands.
through here and connect on to this one.
Steve?
There is some concern about having a shared access for these two lots. Aside from the fact that there's the
Okay.
one so close to the house.
So and that's a different
Good
story.
fences make good neighbors, in this case, and good driveways make better neighbors.
Okay, I think the board is kind of approaching a consensus here on seeing if the parties can agree to move that property line so that the existing access to the back lot can be used. Am I reading everybody correctly on that?
Yeah, but you have to, if I'm hearing you correctly in what you're saying, party A who is in ownership of that driveway, one of the premises of that whole thing is that they will allow a right-of-way easement to be part of the thing.
No.
Okay.
There's a confusion here. Okay, so let me just go over this again.
All right, let's do it one more time, because it's...
Okay, so the goal is to get rid of this road. All right, the goal is to use the existing road, which is here, to access the back lot. You can't use that existing road if it's in this subdivided line.
Right.
So what we're saying is take this proposed corner
Oh, I see.
and move it back here. All right, so now the back lot comes all the way down. The back lot has frontage all the way across here, and the back lot can use the
See what you're saying?
The 50-acre lot has frontage here, which is adequate. Give it that 50 acre. That's what
Those are
comes down.
single-foot contour lines.
And Steve, the only problem with that I see is for, I guess that's property owner B. He still has that problem of that access road
This
being
being so close.
right next to his house. I just foresee that being a problem. If he objects to that, or they, she, whoever it is, and I would, could we do that and also just move the beginning of that road? Because,
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt.
no,
I'm
that's,
trying to get in line.
Rebecca?
I have a different idea, which involves no new driveway permit, but that lot line adjustment, and then a separate driveway that would connect.
I got to get markers. We need
Yeah, no,
to
I need
be-
some
we
colors
need
for
to-
this. So,
So move the beginning of it.
just driveway, like that.
Yeah.
Simple, but
You want to show that on?
I will, but once there's some markers, because I can't see any of that, I'm sure.
Colorblind, so don't pick the wrong one.
Oh, yeah, let's see if she comes up.
You got two,
Let's see, there's two markers right here.
Rebecca's,
two groups of wetlands though. Or,
Rebecca's saying down forward.
so,
So it doesn't have it right next to the property
So
line.
here's the existing, or the proposed driveway. So
so move the line.
here's the line.
Move the line,
Yeah.
and then move the driveway.
Well, okay, I think we already have kind of
I'm drawing through some wetlands that maybe you could avoid,
a.
but using that same driveway, cut DOT permit, and then just contour over around there if we were able to swap that. You guys see that?
Yeah,
Okay. What's wrong with like that?
See a problem with that?
But this
That's permit.
Permit exists.
So
You want to draw it on here? Yeah, it's, all right, so here, what did I do there? Green for this, so if we did, so here's that sort of proposed new line.
you know any reason why that wouldn't work?
I found some.
I mean, as far topographically?
No, yeah, topographic.
So then the driveway that I'm suggesting would do something like come in,
Makes sense.
avoiding the wetlands that are there, but come in from the
Oh,
existing,
okay.
existing proposed driveway number 3.
Do you want to,
It's up there. It's, actually, you can't quite see it.
Can't see it.
No, but I did draw something up there.
well, can we do it just in a darker color so everybody can see?
So, do you have is there currently a permit for driveway
This is
3?
the property line. It's the same
Or
as
it's,
we
is
already
there,
voted for.
there's a permit?
That's what
Of course, obtaining a permit is no big deal.
that way it's cut down a lot of their costs too. They're going back. Never eliminate whatever this is, a house,
Okay, so board members are beyond for this concept? All right, so what we're gonna do is ask the parties to go back and have a little chat, and come back and see us again at a date certain. Would that be correct?
Jean, could you, it would be March 16, I think it's the
Be
same day.
yeah.
So there are two things that we're asking the parties to do. One is to move that proposed corner back to the far, this that's the northwest corner of the smaller lot. Use the existing road access to the back lot and then move the driveway over far enough so that you kind of get about a 30-degree angle going back to that far corner so that it gets that driveway away from the border of that set lot. So
That's going to require an amendment of the original driveway permit, or it could be a new one from DOT.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, a permit's no big deal.
No, I mean, I'm just saying for follow-through, it's good.
Yeah, my
Number
purpose
6.
was to sort of avoid the having to get a new driveway permit if that's, I mean,
Well, no, but if it is, it is. But that will mitigate the closeness of the existing driveway number 2 to the house, so that does solve a problem for someone.
Okay, so those are the two things we want to do, is to avoid putting the road through those wetlands, a new road, use the existing road, and move the first part of the existing road away from the property line to the abutter.
Can you just reiterate the time and date? The only notification of a continuance is the verbal.
Okay, so we're going to continue this.
Try to curve that over
March
like
16th?
what you did, or just in.
March 16th?
I'm sorry?
Because of these
16th
two
is it?
ponds.
Yes,
The
1 month. So that date is what exactly? Is it?
March
Come right
16th.
up into
March
that,
18th,
where-
all right.
No, 16.
16th, okay.
See what I'm saying?
I think that'd be up to the surveyor.
So could
I think with the
you,
whole-
would you mind just announcing it to everyone so we have an official?
Okay, so we're going to continue this.
There's a lot of abutters here.
What I'm going to ask is for a motion from the board member to continue this application to March 16th,
Thursday, March 16th.
Thursday, March 16th, and we're asking the parties to move the corner indicates that's the southeast corner of the proposed back lot to the northwest corner of the inset lot. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to move the proposed driveway entrance far enough away from the inset lot. No?
No, I was trying to put it right on the driveway number
I
3.
don't think we necessarily have to constrain
Yeah,
that, because
no.
they can
do whatever
put
they
it
want.
anywhere that
Yeah, we
suits.
can't
and
tell them where
There's
to-
a couple of,
Right.
actually wetlands that they have to like skirt, so
Yeah.
All right,
it
so
works out best.
Just have them skirt the, just say skirt the wetlands.
Yeah.
So obviously, we're not saying, go like this and then go up back and the guy's
second
property. We're saying
Tuesday.
cut it at an angle so it's about 30 degrees, right?
I mean, higher.
Do you have a,
So we don't need to be any more specific than that.
No, my red line is not super specific. I might have actually gone through a wetland that maybe would be best to be avoided.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that the surveyor can
All right,
figure
so
it out.
I'm asking for a motion to move this to March 16th. We're asking the parties to negotiate a new corner point and a new road location. A new lot line.
So, okay.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second, sure.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. There we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank everybody for coming together on that one. This is a real complicated one.
clear what
Sharon said this was
Yeah. I could tell as soon as I saw this
Okay,
many.
so we're moving on to our
neckties
second
coming.
application of the evening. This is the boundary line adjustment between PID 207-009 and PIDs 207-007 and 207-006. These are the clouds. We're going to look at the application is complete.
There you are.
Sharon, is this application complete from your point of view?
Yes, it is, and it's personally hand-colored in by yours truly, so no one gets confused. That's the first thing we do is color it in. The most fun I have in this job ever is
Does
coloring.
the board have any comments or questions about the completeness of the application? Do I have a motion to accept the application as complete?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay.
The applicant's agent is here. Yep, the applicant's agent is here.
You want to give us a quick rundown?
My name is Steve Tower. I'm a land surveyor at Saborn and Tower up in Woodstock, New Hampshire. And I'm here tonight. We were asked by Charles and Lois McLeod to do a boundary line adjustment for them. I have some full-size plans here. I don't know if you have any, but maybe I'll just lay some out.
Yeah, I did, Steve. Yeah.
I don't dare tackle that thing. I don't think I can run that thing. So, well, in a nutshell, this is fairly straightforward. The McLeods own an 8-acre parcel up on Fairgrounds Road once again, and what they'd like to do is, this parcel is vacant. What they'd like to do is take two pieces of this parcel and deed it to two of the abutting homeowners. This lot is a horseshoe-shaped piece. The parcel we're talking about is 207-9, and it has frontage on Fairgrounds Road, roughly 200 feet, and it wraps around behind three other properties. One being the Latter-day Saints Church, the second being John and Catherine McLeod's property, lot 2077, and the third being Francis and Karen McLeod's property, lot 2076. Charles and Lois McLeod actually live directly across the street in 20719. Just a little back there for you. So what we're trying to do is take parcel A, this gray shaded area here, okay, this one, and add it on to Francis and Karen's property. Take parcel B, add that onto John and Catherine McLeod's property, okay? So that their properties would just extend back and take in the backland of this parent tract. Very simple. And that's why we're here. Any questions?
Any wetlands, any proposed driveways? or-
Do you want to change the property lines?
You could totally make this better. Not today.
All we're doing is making 2 lots bigger and 1 lot smaller. That's what this comes down to.
Any questions from the board this time? All right, we're going to open up public hearing on this. It's 20 minutes of 8. If anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this lot line adjustment, you please do so. State your name. Anyone would like to speak in a negative way or non-committal way or any way about this project? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing 1 minute later.
7:39.
29, 31, 32. So, back to the board. Any further questions about this?
Straightforward.
You guys ready to give me a motion to do something?
I move that we approve this.
Is this for acceptance? Or is it for improvement?
No, for approving the, we've already accepted it. You moved that we approve it.
I move that we approve this.
Second.
All right.
I'm sorry, who was the second?
John.
John?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Good to go?
Thank you very much.
That's colored it.
Yeah.
I think that it shouldn't have.
Should have colored the first one, geez.
There's a Mylar.
Oh, you're right, you're right, you're right. No, you're right, it's trees. Well, never mind, this is just minutes.
It did confuse me for a little bit.
I don't know if Sharon,
What, I have,
you're going to record this,
yes,
right?
we, wait
You're
a
back by
minute.
the 16th, right?
Pretty sure we paid.
No,
I'll be back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
hang on.
Well, you're not gonna be here this?
No, I need 2 more checks.
Oh, I knew as soon as I
I
saw
do,
it.
if you want us to
coming in
do
here
it, then
tonight,
we'll
I
need
was
2
like-
more checks.
I can
I would
Okay,
prefer if you
so,
do it, it's a pain in the butt for
yeah,
me
and
to
we
do
can
it.
do it.
Cool.
We haven't.
Well, then you're gonna have to ask
meeting, I
Mr.
guess, yeah.
Chairman to sign your Mylar.
I'm about to get up and leave.
Do it after.
No, I think,
It's been a very chaotic meeting.
okay, yes.
Minute
Tell you
takers.
what, I'll do that in just a second. We'll close the, okay, any new business tonight? Any comments from the public before we close things down? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Way too fast to that.